Hey there, it's Justin Shields, and I'm one of the co-founders of VenturePOP Conference. Hey, in today's episode, we're going to talk with one of the most incredible freelancers I know, Nathan Allotey. Nathan specializes in web design, digital marketing, and recently has become an online educator. He launched a big portion of his work right after our 2015 conference. VenturePOP gave him the kick in the pants he needed to grow his creative business. Without further ado, let's dive right in. All right, I'm so happy to have Nathan Allotey here with me today. We're going to be talking about a lot of incredible things, but hopefully we're going to provide some real value for those of you that are freelancers. How you doing, man?
Doing good, Justin. Yeah, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. And haven't seen you since the last Venture Pop, but definitely been keeping up with everything that's going on online. So yeah.
Yeah, man, I've been looking at your website and you're doing a lot of different incredible things. Still continuing with the freelance work, but you're kind of expanding as well, right?
Yeah, true. I'm doing a lot of things, probably too much, but I've always done too much, to be honest. Even when I was younger in school, I always had 50 things going on at once.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but yeah, so still doing the freelance thing, still teaching on that, also building a couple products and resources and just trying to share more of my knowledge instead of just keeping it to myself like I'm locked in a closet or locked in a little laboratory. I'm just trying to share more of what I'm doing. So yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So it's two parts of your business. There's the freelance part of your business and there's the education part of your business. Can you tell me a little bit more about freelance? What type of clients do you like to work with?
Yeah, so I'm a freelance web designer.
Uh-huh.
Initially, the path to even get there was a little different because I went to school for engineering.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
did, yeah, I did electrical engineering.
Uh-huh.
And then when I was done, I said, I'm just going to join the workforce. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
So looked for a job, but I got a job at a IT and web hosting company.
Uh-huh.
So when I was there, started looking into websites. I said, everybody needs a website. Maybe I should look at this. So I was moonlighting and searching and just learning different things online by myself.
Uh-huh.
And then I got confident enough to make a website. So then
Okay.
at that point, I was like, okay, I can make websites. Now I'm freelancing doing websites. So that's a little bit of the path how I even became, a freelance web designer. But the type of clients I work with, it's quite a wide range. The
Okay.
first couple of clients I had was some nonprofits,
Uh-huh.
and since I worked with a nonprofit, they liked my work, and other nonprofits started contacting me. But since then, I more specifically focus on web design, but I also do digital marketing
Okay.
because one issue I was seeing is you can build a website and it looks nice, but how are you going to get people there,
That's
right?
so
So,
important. That's so important. And a big
yeah,
step that I
true.
think a lot of people miss out on.
Yeah, so that's just, I realized I wasn't really serving my clients because I would build something for them, but on the flip side, I wasn't providing how it could be useful or how to get people there. So now I try to focus more on web design, but also digital marketing. What can they do once they have the website, right?
Absolutely.
So now my current clients, from what I've seen, I'm seeing a uprise in what I would call creative entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
those who have maybe they've done this or some element of what they're doing
Uh-huh.
on a 9 to 5 job, but maybe they've branched out on their own or they have a side hustle. It doesn't matter if they are photographers or product stylists. I've even worked with web videography companies. It's varied somewhat, but I'm just seeing a lot of entrepreneurs start to step up, and that's the market I want to serve because they don't know the whole marketing side of things. So I just want to bring both of that to them, the web design and the marketing.
That's incredible. Yeah, we're living in that kind of generation of like everyone I know has one or two side hustles. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that our generation we want to have a little bit more control of our financial opportunities. Because we've seen so many people, work for a company for forever and get laid off, or we
Yeah.
graduated at a time when getting a job was difficult.
No, that's true. The funny thing is, it's not just, I used to say, oh, it's just millennials. Millennials are doing that. It's really everybody
Yeah.
because I went to grad school for marketing
Uh-huh.
because I had all that engineering background. I said maybe I need to learn something about marketing because all I know is science, math, and websites.
Yeah.
And when I was in grad school, every one of my professors had a side hustle,
Oh
right?
wow.
They were teaching and they did something else. They were teaching and they did consulting. They were teaching and they had like another job on
Yeah, yeah,
weekends.
yeah.
I said, so, just having multiple streams of income is just wise. Because, like you just mentioned, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and then something happens and then you're panicked, right?
Yes.
And then you make career decisions when you're panicked. Nobody wants to make, career life-changing decisions when they're, in between jobs or anything like that.
For
So it's
sure.
always good to have multiple streams of income.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now that you've kind of moved into this position of sharing the knowledge that you've gained through your graduate program and then through some on the job training, how is it? How is it being an online educator?
It's pretty cool. And I would say, and I would venture to go ahead and say, anyone who has any type of business, you definitely need to do some level of teaching,
Uh huh.
whether you are teaching your potential clients or you are teaching people who are in a similar position to you as a business owner. So I definitely would recommend it. I've enjoyed it. I will admit the avenues in which I've taught, it's been on YouTube, it's been online, I've done online courses, but it can be a little discouraging. And what I
Okay.
mean by that is you're teaching and you're putting out all this content, but you never know if it's really helpful and you never really know who's reading what
Mm-hmm.
because there are these silent admirers, I'll call them, uh,
Yes.
people who are looking, watching, who are tuned in, who read your blog post, but they don't say anything. They don't leave a
Mm-hmm.
comment. They don't email you, but they're learning and getting value. So this journey of just starting to put out more content and starting to teach, I have felt disappointed. But whenever I feel disappointed, somebody says that was an awesome course, or somebody tweets
Mm-hmm.
me and says, oh, that was good content, good blog article, or man, I really enjoyed this video. So you never know who's watching, but I can say in terms of content marketing and in terms of digital marketing, teach everything you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll begin to start building an online resume that you're trustworthy
Yes.
and you know what you're talking about. So regardless of that fact, I've enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm gonna keep it going.
I think that's probably the most valuable part of video in general is that like it gives your clients an opportunity to like, know, and trust you, which is so important. It's such an integral part of being an
Right.
online professional now because we all have those like beautiful glossy headshots on our site, but like it gives them the opportunity to see you as a real person.
True, true. Yeah, you're right. And and just leading into that, also, there are some times where I think I have to be professional. I
Yeah.
must be professional. But honestly, just let it reflect your own personality,
Yeah.
because nobody wants to just be bored and hear a monotone voice. Put your own personality in it, put your own spin to it. You don't have to be so official or have all the best terms, all the best words, or
Yeah.
has this been scientifically proven? It's, well, it's you're sharing your experiences, right? So there's no limit of you sharing what happened in your life or what happened in your business. So there's some
Hmm.
freedom there too.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So actually, that's a perfect segue. Let's dive right into these 3 tips to help our venture pop audience grow their businesses.
Okay. Three.
So talking about tip number 1, what do we have?
Tip number one, I would say, is know your value.
Okay.
Know your value, and let me give a little background to this. So know your value and what you're good at and your skills, but also know your limitations, and I'll explain. So pretty much, and I'll use careers in 9 to 5. And so if you're working a regular 9 to 5 job, a lot of times
Hmm.
you work, you do what you're supposed to do, and you wait on someone to recognize what you're doing.
Yes.
And then maybe they give you a raise or maybe they give you a promotion. Maybe I know I've been in reviews and yearly reviews where people have asked me questions and they've been evaluating me, but they honestly don't even remember or know what I do. But
Ah,
yet
yeah.
they're yet they're evaluating how much I get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that and comparing it to, you as a creative entrepreneur, know your value because you have to be able to communicate what you can provide someone. I often say, if you're a photographer,
Mm-hmm.
you're not just providing pictures. You are capturing a moment in time that they can share for generations to come. That's
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
right? So if you don't know your value, you'll underprice yourself, or you'll have a lack of confidence because maybe you don't think you're as good as the next person. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
comparing. It's about what are you good at? What value can you provide? And if people are coming to you, it's because you have something to offer,
Yes.
right? And I had learned that, pretty much the hard way in web design. I know I was not confident at first, and it was relative, right?
Yeah.
$500. Oh, that's a lot of money in
Yeah.
in my eyes. And then I charge 1,000, and it's like, oh, $1,000 is a lot of money. But there are web designers who are charging 20,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and it wasn't until I literally saw someone charge $10,000 for a website, and it literally looked like something that I built.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
wow, their work and my work is like completely the same. The
Mm-hmm.
only difference is the price tag. So I'm not saying overcharge people, but I am saying take the time to recognize your skills, your limits, where you need to grow, and know that you are bringing value as a creative professional. And if you don't fully grasp that, it will can negatively affect your business as well. So, or limit your income at the least.
Definitely. Oh, that's a really, really good one. I think so many creative entrepreneurs, especially when they're first starting out, are just afraid to charge a premium price. One, because they're kind of targeting people that really can't afford the services. But then two, I think it's you hit the nail on the head. It's a confidence thing. And it's like once
Yeah.
you've done it a few times, you get that confidence.
True, true. And, the same story for me. So just to anyone out there, I would say know where you are and just continue to grow. And as you grow, you should be getting better. You should be getting more efficient. You should be becoming more talented.
Yeah.
And just make sure every now and then, whether it's every 6 months or so, you sit down and evaluate how far you've come. I remember a good example of this is Lauren Hooker.
Uh-huh.
She spoke at the last Venture Pop.
Yeah.
She talked about how she started pricing at like 500 and then charged 1,000, then charged 3,000 and then charged 6,000. I think that was less than a year.
Yeah.
But she was seeing the progressive state and how she was getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And she recognized how much value she had to offer, and that was the difference between 1,000 and 6,000.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's not all about money. I believe in doing work you enjoy, but you have something to offer. So just think about that.
That's really good. Let's dive into tip number two.
Tip number two, I have it written down, so that's why I'm looking. Uh, the second thing is, and it plays into the first one. First, I said know your value. The second one is know how to communicate that.
Mm.
You mentioned a little bit of the teaching earlier, and that's one of the reasons why I started teaching it online is start becoming an effective communicator of that value. When I worked at an IT company in the past, it was funny because they had developers,
Mm-hmm.
and people would call in and have questions, and people on the front lines are like, I don't know how to answer that. You need to talk to a
Mm.
developer.
Mm-hmm.
But developers were always terrible
Yeah.
at communicating what they're doing. They would just say, oh yeah, well, in Linux code, you just do this, you just run a shell operation, you drop it in there, you do that, you reformat the website, and then you're done. And the customer's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So if you can't communicate how your value will create a benefit for someone or how your
Uh-huh.
value will improve someone's life, they won't make the connection. So,
Hmm.
as I mentioned, I brought up a photographer, but also me as a web designer. I'm not really just creating a website. What I like to tell people is if we're working together, I want to create for you a web presence so
Mm-hmm.
you can set up your headquarters online and not worry about the overhead of running a brick and mortar business.
I love
So when
that
you think about it,
language.
so when you think about it from that standpoint, it's like, well, that's true. I don't have to pay rent, or my hosting fees are not as high.
Yeah.
It's digital. People can still call me. Well, yeah, I could just have a web presence online. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's different, right? So you have to be able to communicate that. Even some of the design decisions I make, I have to communicate and say, this is why I did it. This is why it's important. This is the research I did to arrive at that. I didn't
Yeah.
just sit down and sketch something and say, look at me, I'm done. Look at the website, it's done. I took some time and I made some decisions and I'm sharing, why I made those specific decisions. You too, Justin, as a designer, you may have to do that also, right? You have to
All the time.
explain design choices. Maybe they agree or disagree, who knows, but you still have to explain why you made certain decisions. So as long as you can communicate your value, the customer will appreciate it. If you can teach them something, they'll appreciate it, and they'll be able to recognize, wow, this person is investing in me. We're working on a project, and this person is investing in me beyond, the deliverable.
Yes.
So that's like a big thing, I'd say.
That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah, I think framing the story for the customer is always so important because at the end of the day, they're buying an end product. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah,
they don't really they care about it looking pretty. They care about it being functional, but at the end of the day, especially like for a web designer or any type of freelancer, they want that end result.
true, true. And nobody, you can get into all the, technical details, but nobody wants to know all of that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm working on a website for you, and it's going to be WordPress, and don't worry, it's going to be optimized, so it's going to be below 1 megabyte. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
They just want to know, is it going to look nice? Is it going to help me get sales?
Yeah.
Is it going to be easy for me to manage? And if I can communicate that value on top of everything else I'm doing, then they'll roll along with the process.
That's awesome. What's tip number three?
Tip number three, I said share that value. So I said know your value was number one. Two is communicate. Three is share. And what I mean is teaching. I a started a podcast really just to teach people the marketing things that I knew.
Uh huh.
That's freelancejumpstart.tv, but I started that really because clients would always ask me the same questions.
All
And I'm
the
like,
time.
I'm kind of tired of repeating I'm kind of tired of repeating myself. I always have to repeat myself over and over. Why don't I just create something that teaches people and adds value and share it with them?
Yeah.
Or, the next time someone asks me a question, I can say, oh, I have a screencast on that, or
Mm-hmm.
oh, I have a PDF that talks about that, or somebody asks a question, okay, I have a website. How do I, add a mailing list, or how do I even start with a mailing list? Oh, well, I have, something that you can read or something that you can look at, and I can share it with them, and they can get added value. So the whole
That's awesome.
progression is just understanding what you have to offer, being able to communicate that in a way that makes sense, and then actually sharing that, because that's something that I was missing big time in my business. I would do the work, um, and just that's it. I do the work, I deliver, I thank you for paying me, but sometimes I wouldn't even put it up on Dribble or somewhere, some
Yeah.
public forum, and it just sits on my computer. It's not doing anything on my computer, so
Mm-hmm.
I have to share that value to the client, but also to the world. I've joined more designer, communities this past year than I ever have.
Mm-hmm.
So sharing my work with other people, getting feedback, and as I mentioned, just sharing it in a public forum and not being scared to share what you're creating, whether it's something you're proud of or something that's in progress, but share that value because I make a joke. I said if you want to learn how to time travel,
Uh-huh.
you have to share, publicly so that, 3 years down the road, you can look back and say, oh, yeah, that's where I was 3 years ago.
Oh
Wow, I'm
yeah.
actually am getting good. But you can't time travel if you're not leaving marks,
I like
throughout the span
that.
of time. That's what I like to say. But it's not really Back to the Future, but it is funny to watch a video of yourself from a couple years ago and you're like, wow, that actually was good.
Yeah.
Or you say, wow, I needed to work. But you can't do that if you're not putting it out there in a public forum. So
That's
you got to
one
share that
thing.
value.
That's one thing I had to work on personally. This year was the first year that I started actually posting my work online regularly, whether that be on my Facebook or my Instagram page. And like to see that direct response and see how like someone sees something I posted on the internet and now they're like, oh, I didn't even realize you did that type of work. I didn't even realize
Yeah.
you made that type of website. And it's resulted in new business for me. So it's like been an incredible way um, to, get that validation, one, but then two, to actually result in new clients, which has been great.
No, you're right about that. I mean, same thing for me. I've put things on Facebook, and friends say, "Oh, I didn't know Nathan could do that." And then, the next time that somebody says, "I'm looking for a website," they
Mm-hmm.
mention me, not because I'm the best web designer ever, but because I shared my work publicly and they're aware of it.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know to do that. I wish I was doing that when I first started,
Right.
probably because I was embarrassed of what I was producing. But no, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
That way you can at least have, and people can see the juxtaposition of your progress. They can say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is something Justin did 5 years ago, and oh wow, this is what Justin is doing now. Look at how much he's grown. I want to benefit from his growth.
Yeah.
And then they call you, right? You don't really have to say much when they can see this is a website from 5 years ago. There's a website from today. He's getting better,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, it's just the more you share, the less you have to really try to explain to try to make a sale because they already see it and you're already sharing.
Yeah. So you have something new coming out in the near future. Can you tell us about that?
When you said that, I was literally thinking, I was like, I have a lot of things, but I know what you're referring to. So you're referring to, yeah, well, I'll say it like this. I am working on a resource for freelancers
Okay.
because, and I have something that's leading up to that. That's called Road to Launch, and there's roadtolaunch.com. That's me blogging and sharing and, creating videos about building that resource for freelancers.
Okay.
So those two things are kind of synonymous, but yeah, I'm working on a resource for freelancers. It's going to be called Freelance Jumpstart, and I'm working on that. It's going to be a comprehensive course on freelancing, but I'm taking a different angle.
Okay.
A lot of courses I see, they talk about this is how you can increase your income. If you're a freelancer, this is how you can, work with clients. But I'm kind of combining those thoughts and I'm saying, if you're a freelancer, this is how you start.
Oh, that's
This is how you
incredible.
this is how you choose a good name.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you actually officially register your business. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now from there, this is how you need to keep track of your finances so you don't get confused or you don't get audited later.
Mm-hmm.
Then I get into, okay, this is how you need to set up so you can advertise, get clients. Okay, now that you have those clients, this is how the client meeting needs to go.
Oh yeah.
So I'm walking through all those common questions that I've seen online, whether I saw them on Reddit, whether people ask me directly, all those little common pitfalls that I learned through trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting everything that I know into this resource so that someone could literally, go through it and say, okay, Nathan gave me all these warnings. I'm not going to trip up like he did.
Yeah.
And, kind of streamline their way to the point that I got to instead of, the trial and error. And trial and error is good. We learn from experience, but sometimes I think about how much further would I be if I knew what I knew now. So once again, it's the
Yeah.
time travel thing. I'm making this like I'm talking to my younger self.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to reach whether, freelancers who are just starting out and also those who aren't doing certain things that I thought was common knowledge. I
Yeah.
guess it's not really common, right? So yeah, that's a little bit about the resource.
That's awesome. I'm excited to sign up for it. I feel like every time I sign up for a new course, it just like opens my mind to some completely different thing that I never even thought about implementing in my business.
Yeah, I've taken, I guess this is somewhat research as well, but I've taken more courses than I've ever taken now. And it's good. And some courses have been amazing. And some courses I've thought,
Yeah.
I probably could have done this. So to anybody listening, if you're thinking about teaching, definitely teach in a public forum and share,
Yeah.
blog, but also think about, what can you teach others? Maybe you can make it a course, or maybe it can be some type of guide, but there's some knowledge that you do repetitively that you probably could turn into a product, and my goal really in this case is not to try to make as much money as I can. My goal in this case is to let me just provide value and be helpful,
Yes.
right? And then, as a good result of that, probably I'll get some extra income. But, my goal is really just to be helpful because I definitely believe if you invest in others, they'll invest in you.
Yeah. That's incredible, man. Thank you so much for your time today. Where can our viewers check you out online?
Yeah, you can go to, it's my name, NathanAllotey.com, and Allotey is Allotey.
Okay.
So NathanAllotey.com, you can go there. If you're there, you see my blog. You'll also see the podcast I have, which is Freelance Jumpstart TV. That's a video podcast and an audio podcast.
There we go.
But then you'll also see information about, I mentioned Road to Launch. That's also there. So you'll see my journey in trying to build this resource and get it finished and up and running. So yeah, that's where people can connect with me.
Excellent, man. All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've appreciated this. This has been great. I am very amped up for VenturePOP coming up because, to be honest, I use that as somewhat of a springboard, like as a mark in time, because I had all this in my head, but it wasn't until I left VenturePOP and probably 2 weeks later, I started doing all of this content that I've been doing. So VenturePOP was really inspirational in me getting to where I'm at now. So I'm looking forward to, what comes next. I don't know I'm gonna build next, but I know VenturePOP will probably be a part of influencing whatever that is.
Oh man, I love hearing that, and it's been incredible to see your growth just in this 1 year. You've been killing it online.
Yeah, thank you. Just sharing. I had all this stuff on my computer in my head, but I wasn't doing anything with it.
Yeah.
So, VenturePOP gave me the kick in the pants to go do it. So now I'm doing it.
Excellent. All right, Nathan. Have a good afternoon.
All right, thank you. You as well.
All right. Bye-bye. VenturePOP is a 2-day conference designed to gather creatives with the guts and grit to grow their business. The event takes place September 17th and 18th at the incredible New Orleans Jazz Market. Purchasing a ticket for VenturePOP is more than an excuse for a lively weekend in New Orleans. It's an investment in you and your business. Expect 2 days of dynamic programming with top-notch speakers and networking with creative entrepreneurs just like you. Our goal is to help you build a sustainable creative business that intersects with your purpose. You can purchase tickets online at VenturePOPconference.com. We're looking forward to seeing you.